Welcome back to Royal Daily Report, where we bring you the stories that matter, the investigations that others won't touch, and the truth behind the headlines. I'm your host, and tonight's report is perhaps our most controversial yet. We're diving into claims that challenge everything the public has been told about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's first child. This is an investigation based on timelines, evidence, and questions that refuse to go away. Viewer discretion is advised as this report contains sensitive material. Let's begin. The whole description she does of the Portland hospital, the birth that was completely fabricated. We all know the first interview was with, all know that she never intended to go to the Portland hospital. She intended to have the baby at home. We know that they deceived the public about the birth date and time of the whole event. Tom Bauer just tore open a door no one was supposed to look behind, not with a rumor, not with a whisper, but with a claim so sharp, so unsettling, that it instantly rewired one of the most protected stories in modern royal history. The claim was simple. Archie the child, the world has been told, lives quietly in California, may not actually live there at all. That instead, Archie lives in the United Kingdom. And not just anywhere, but with his mother, who isn't Meghan Markle. And if that sentence alone makes your heart skip, it's because of what it quietly suggests. Because if Archie lives in the UK with his mother, then the story the public has been shown may only be the surface layer. And underneath it is a version of events no one has fully explained. This isn't a story about gossip. It's not about internet noise. It's not about wild theories. It's about timelines, motives, power, and a question that refuses to disappear. Where is Archie really living? And why does that matter so much? Before theories, before emotion, before motive, the timeline has to be locked, because dates don't bend to narrative. Harry and Meghan were married on May 19, 2018. Archie's reported birth date is May 6, 2019. That places his conception around August 2018, just a few months after the wedding. This window matters more than people realize. It means any explanation for Archie's existence must fit into a very narrow frame of time, a period when Harry and Meghan were newly married, publicly united, and closely connected. There is no long gap to hide in, no years of separation, no extended absences, just months. This timeline immediately limits what could have happened and what likely could not. It becomes the backbone of the entire story. Anything that doesn't fit here doesn't fit at all. This investigation requires your full attention. If you want to stay informed on developments that mainstream media won't cover, subscribe to Royal Daily Report right now and turn on notifications. We're committed to asking the difficult questions. The most explosive explanation is also the one that demands the most scrutiny. The theory suggests that Archie could be Harry's biological child, but not with Meghan Markle, that the child was born to another woman, that the woman is based in the United Kingdom, and that the child remained there. Under this scenario, Meghan Markle is fully aware of the child's existence. She does not deny the child. She does not expose the situation. Instead, she presents the child publicly as hers. It's a theory that instantly raises the stakes, because it would mean infidelity occurred mere months after marriage and, not quietly, but with consequences that would follow them for years. If this were true, it wouldn't just be a personal betrayal, it would be a structural one, because marriages don't usually survive something like that, especially so early, which leads to the most important question of all. If this theory were true, why didn't everything end right there? Now, you need to know that relationships don't exist in emotional isolation. They exist inside systems of benefit status, wealth, access, visibility, and when those factors are extreme, they can override even the most devastating personal injury. Remaining married to Prince Harry, for Meghan Markle, meant more than staying with a husband. It meant global recognition, institutional proximity, long-term financial leverage, a permanent place in history. Walking away wouldn't just end a relationship, would end access. In situations like this, separation isn't always the strongest move. Sometimes, staying is more powerful, especially if staying comes with leverage. A damaging secret does not weaken the person who knows it. It empowers them, because silence becomes currency and exposure becomes a threat that never has to be spoken aloud. Seen through this lens, survival of the marriage doesn't require forgiveness. It requires calculation. This is where the story becomes uncomfortable, because once leverage exists, it rarely stays unused. Under this framework, the child is no longer just a child. The child becomes access, and access becomes control. Permission replaces freedom. Time becomes conditional. Movement becomes negotiated. In this scenario, Harry doesn't simply see his child when he wants. He sees the child when terms are met. And those terms don't need to be dramatic. They can be quiet, subtle, relentless. Control doesn't need shouting. It thrives in routine. The most powerful leverage isn't exposure, it's restraint. The constant awareness that something could be revealed and never is. This dynamic would explain why a marriage continues even when trust should be gone. Not because the injury wasn't real, but because the benefit of staying outweighed the cost of leaving. And once that balance exists, it reshapes everything, even the way a child fits into the story. We're exploring territory that few dare to investigate. Make sure you're subscribed to Royal Daily Report so you don't miss any part of this developing story. Hit that subscribe button now. Up to this point, everything we've examined has existed behind closed doors. Private arrangements, quiet leverage, unspoken understandings. But there's one problem that refuses to stay hidden: the child. Because the public has seen a child presented as Archie in the United States. Footage, photographs, moments meant to reinforce a simple truth that Archie lives with Harry and Meghan in America. And this is where the story tightens. Because if the claim is that Archie primarily lives in the United Kingdom, then these appearances create a contradiction that must be explained. Either the claim is false, or what's being shown publicly is not the full picture. This isn't about accusing anyone of deception. It's about understanding why appearances would be necessary at all. If everything were exactly as presented, there would be no need to ask these questions. But once the claim exists, and once it refuses to go away, the images stop being proof and start becoming part of the puzzle. At first glance, the simplest explanation might seem dramatic, that the child seen publicly is not the same child, that images are curated, that moments are manufactured. But when you step back, something important becomes clear. Elaborate deception carries enormous risk. Every appearance increases exposure. Every image invites scrutiny. Every moment creates another variable that can unravel. Power doesn't usually work that way. True control prefers quiet. If a child truly lived elsewhere and secrecy was essential, the safest option would be silence, not performance. No photos, no staged moments, no public reinforcement required, which leads to an uncomfortable realization. If staging were happening, it wouldn't be because it's effective. It would be because it serves a purpose greater than safety. The complexity of this investigation shows why independent royal reporting matters. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report and support journalism that asks the questions others won't. Your subscription helps us continue this vital work, and that brings us to the final remaining explanation. Remove infidelity entirely. Remove betrayal. What remains is a different possibility: that a surrogate based in the United Kingdom gave birth with full consent, that no affair occurred, that the arrangement was agreed upon. But something changed. The surrogate would not give the child, and so the child stayed. And once the child remained outside Meghan Markle's direct control, the value shifted. In this scenario, the child does not serve a public role. There is no emotional bond to protect, no image to curate, no utility to extract. The child exists, but outside the system. For Harry, the connection remains personal. For Meghan, the connection is optional. And that difference matters, because control thrives where attachment is unequal. Access becomes conditional again. Permission becomes leverage again. Yet even this explanation struggles, because if the child had no public function, there would be no reason to present one. Which leaves us with the quiet truth at the center of this entire story. What matters here is not proving one version of events. What matters is understanding why certain versions are sustained, why appearances matter, why timelines are guarded, why access feels negotiated instead of natural. Some stories aren't exposed by documents. They are exposed by behavior, by what people protect, by what they avoid, by what they never clarify. And this story, whatever its final truth may be, was never designed to end cleanly. Because unresolved questions keep power exactly where it is. And if this chapter feels unfinished, that's because it is. This investigation continues to evolve. Stay connected with Royal Daily Report by subscribing and enabling all notifications. We'll bring you updates as new information emerges. Thank you for watching this sensitive and in-depth investigation from Royal Daily Report. This is one of the most complex stories we've ever covered, and it raises questions that deserve answers. If you found this report thought-provoking, please subscribe to Royal Daily Report, give this video a thumbs up, and most importantly, share your perspective in the comments below. What do you think is really happening? Do these theories hold weight, or is there another explanation we haven't considered? Your insights matter, and this community thrives on respectful, intelligent discussion. Remember, Royal Daily Report exists to bring you investigations that challenge official narratives and ask the questions mainstream media avoids. We don't claim to have all the answers, but we believe in asking the right questions. For more exclusive royal investigations and breaking news from inside palace walls, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on. This story is far from over, and we'll continue following every development. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next report. This is Royal Daily Report, where the truth matters most.